This one is called My Wife Has Been Peeking at Me from Corners and Behind Furniture. It's gone from weird to terrifying. Okay, ready? Okay. My wife Lynn and I have been together for 6 years and married for 11 months. Our entire history together has been very normal, and I haven't noticed any weird behaviors or red flags. Period. I can't stress enough how out of character this whole thing is for her. Okay? I should add that she has no mental health issues. I'm gonna skip the unimportant parts, okay? Ready? Go. 2 months ago, I was in the kitchen making myself some coffee, and I was running late to work. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it to the coffee store I usually go to. So I took a sip of coffee and I ran down the hall towards the front door. When I happened to notice, my wife Lynn was peeking at me from around the corner ahead of me. I could only see her eyes and a strand of her long dark hair hanging against the wall. The rest of her body was concealed behind the corner. I nearly spilled my coffee when I saw her. So it was like this. Like that. That's how she was staring, okay? Okay. She immediately popped out of view like a kid that had been caught. Then she ran to the living room without saying a word. The next incident happened 3 days later. It was around 2 a.m. and I woke up to get a drink. I was standing in the kitchen with orange juice in my hand when I felt like I was being watched. For whatever reason, I looked down at the floor and saw my wife's face smiling up at me. Wide, unblinking eyes and smiling like a Cheshire cat. At the sound of my scream, my wife ran. She ran like a dog on all four, two hands and two legs. I was frozen in shock, and it took me a while to get back upstairs, but I eventually did. When I got to our bedroom, Lynn, my wife, was lying in bed, asleep. It looked like she had been asleep for hours. I stood there for a while, watching her breathe to make sure she was really asleep. I had the feeling she might jump out at me the moment I got into bed, but she didn't. The next morning, I waited for her to come down for coffee. When she came down, I asked her, "What was that about last night?" She kept shaking her head like she had no clue what was happening. I said, "You were peeking at me from there." I pointed at the spot near the kitchen. She followed my gaze and she looked back at me, laughing. I said, "You creep me out. You know that, Lynn?" She said, "You creep me out all the time too, so I guess we're even." Ooh, that's a love story. Thank you, Ate Piggy, sa Blue and Mike. Are you engaged, Aces? Should I continue? Okay, continue. We said our goodbyes and we left for work. As I drove, I kept thinking about her wide smile and her big eyes that wouldn't blink as she was looking at me at 2 a.m. It's not like I was afraid, but it still didn't sit right with me. I started seeing her peek at more and more, sometimes from behind the couch, in the curtains, sometimes from the side of the bed. Okay, okay. But after a few weeks, we went without seeing an incident like that from Lynn again. Then suddenly, around 9 p.m., I hopped in the shower after a long day of work. I was washing the soap from my hair, and I felt the same feeling I felt in the kitchen. When I opened my eyes, my wife Lynn was peeking sideways from the shower curtain. Her entire head was in the shower by then. Her mouth hung open with a terrible grin, eyes wide and red like she hasn't blinked for hours. I screamed and fell. She didn't move and she didn't even flinch. Her makeup ran down her cheeks in two black streaks. She still didn't move. It's like this. Okay, we're done. I have a joke for you. Ready, Aces? You want a joke? Wow! We are 222K. Oh, what's the ending? Okay. The ending is um Lynn, they saw a bunch of eyeballs in Lynn's closet. Then Lynn was staring at him. Okay, wait. So it kept going. So he went to his brother's house and he's told his brother about what keeps happening with his wife. Then him and his brother went to the house to watch over each other. So like his brother watches over him, and he'll watch over his brother. So one of them can protect each other. Because it's scary. Then uh then they went into the closet. They saw eyeballs and body parts like Jeffrey Dahmer. And then It looked like eyeballs from animals. After looking in the closet, they turned around. Then Lynn was there, standing, hunched over, and her jaw was all the way open to her chest, stretched out. They tried to run, but then Lynn scratched her brother's arm. It was bleeding bad, so the guy, the husband, fought his wife, pushed her off, and then they ran to the hospital. Then his brother got stitches on his arm and on his back. Then the doctors said there was somebody waiting outside to see if they were okay. But they said no to the visitor. Then they closed the door, and the door had a window in it, and there was nothing there. So they left it alone. Then after an hour, they checked. Just suddenly looked at the door, and Lynn's eyes were there again. That's the ending. Okay, I want to tell you my joke now.